The golden morning light streamed through the royal windows of Enchancia Castle, painting the marble floors in soft hues of pink and gold. Princess Sofia hurried through the grand hallway, her amulet glinting at her neck. Today was an exciting day. The king was set to present her with a royal commendation for her bravery during the last week's enchanted rescue mission. She had helped save the royal gardens from a mischievous vine spell gone wrong, and everyone was buzzing with pride. Everyone except her brother, Prince James. As the family gathered in the ballroom, Sofia noticed James standing off to the side, hands in his pockets, offering only a half-hearted smile. When Queen Miranda pinned the silver medallion of bravery on Sofia's dress, everyone clapped. James clapped too, but his eyes looked distant, not proud, not jealous exactly, but something in between. After the ceremony, Sofia approached him with her usual cheerful tone. "Hey, James, did you see? The Queen said I showed true courage." James nodded, forcing a grin. "Yeah, you always do." Sofia tilted her head. "You sound like something's wrong. Are you okay?" James shrugged. "I'm fine, just tired. I've been practicing sword drills all morning." But as he walked away, Sofia couldn't shake the feeling that his words weren't true. Later that afternoon, during lunch in the grand dining hall, everyone seemed to be talking about Sofia's achievement. Even Bailiwick couldn't stop praising her for her quick thinking. "Truly impressive, Princess Sofia," he said proudly as he refilled her glass. "Most princesses would have run from that enchanted vine, but you faced it head-on." James poked at his food silently. No one noticed, except Sofia. She leaned over and whispered, "You really are quiet today." James shrugged again, eyes on his plate. "Guess there's not much to say when your little sister's the talk of the castle." Sofia frowned. "James, I didn't mean to take attention away from you." "I know," he replied softly, "but it feels like every time something exciting happens, it's always you." Sofia's heart sank. "That's not true. Remember when you won the royal games last spring? Everyone was cheering for you." James sighed. "Yeah, but that was months ago." He stood up, muttering, "I'm going to training yard," and walked out before she could say another word. As the doors closed, Sofia stared down at her plate. For the first time, her victory felt a little less shiny. That evening, she found herself wandering through the quiet castle corridors, lost in thought. Her amulet shimmered faintly, sensing her sadness. She paused near the balcony overlooking the courtyard, watching James practice with his wooden sword under the setting sun. His moves were sharp, strong, but his expression was strained, not joyful like it used to be. "He feels like he's standing in my shadow," Sofia whispered. "Talking to yourself again, princess?" came a voice. She turned to see Cedric emerging from his workshop doorway, holding a flask of sparkling dust. "Oh, Mr. Cedric." Sofia exclaimed, then sighed. "James has been acting so distant lately. I think he feels left out." Cedric raised a brow. "Sibling rivalry, Classic royal drama. I might have just a thing for that." He set down his flask and rummaged through his shelves before pulling out a delicate golden crown, adorned with 2 intertwined sapphires. "Behold, the crown of sibling harmony," he announced dramatically. Sofia's eyes widened. "That's beautiful. What does it do?" "When worn by siblings, it amplifies their bond," Cedric explained proudly. "It helps them understand each other's feelings, in perfect magical balance." Sofia smiled. "That sounds wonderful. Maybe it can help James see that I care about him." Cedric chuckled, waving his wand. "Use it wisely, princess. Magic can help, but sometimes hearts need more than spells." As Sofia carried the crown back to her room, she looked out at the stars twinkling above Enchancia. She whispered softly, "I just want James to know that he's my hero too." But deep inside the crown, the sapphires flickered faintly, not in perfect harmony, but with subtle, shifting glow. The magic within seemed to hum uncertainly, as if unsure whether it could truly balance 2 royal hearts that were already beginning to drift apart. And as the castle lights dimmed for night, a soft wind whispered through the halls, carrying the faintest echo of what was yet to come. Dizzy. The next morning dawned bright and golden over Enchancia, and the castle stirred with its usual rhythm. the chatter of servants, the flutter of curtains, and bailiwick reminding everyone that breakfast was ready precisely at 8. But for Sophia, this morning felt different. She sat by her vanity, staring at the delicate crown of sibling harmony Cedric had given her. The golden circlet shimmered softly, the twin sapphires catching the morning light, like drops of blue fire. It was beautiful, almost alive. Sophia turned it over carefully in her hands. "If this can really help me understand James," she whispered, "then maybe we can be close again." Clover hopped onto her vanity stool, his little nose twitching. "You sure that's a good idea, Sophia? Cedric's magic has a history of doing the opposite of what it's supposed to." Sophia smiled patiently. "I know Cedric means well. Besides, it's just a charm for harmony. What could go wrong?" Clover muttered. Famous last words. Just then a loud thud echoed from the training yard outside her window. Sophia looked out and saw James practicing his swordsmanship, frustration written across his face. His wooden sword struck the dummy with far more force than usual, and when he missed a swing, he groaned in anger. She knew this was the right time. Moments later, she stepped into the courtyard, holding the crown carefully behind her back. "Good morning, James," she said cheerfully. He stopped mid-swing, panting slightly. "Oh, hey, Sophia. Here to get another medal for Best Princess of Everything?" Sophia winced. "James, I didn't mean for you to feel left out." He sighed. "I know. Sometimes I wish I could do something amazing, too. Something people would actually notice." Sophia's expression softened. "You already do amazing things. You're brave, funny, and, well, maybe a little reckless. But you're also my best big brother." James smiled a little despite himself. "Nice try, Sophia." She grinned. "Actually, I brought something special for us." She held out the crown, its golden band gleaming in the sunlight. "It's called the Crown of Sibling Harmony. Cedric said it helps brothers and sisters understand each other better." James blinked. "Cedric made it?" "Yes. I thought we could try it together. Maybe it'll help us, connect." James hesitated, then shrugged. "All right, but if this thing turns me into a frog, you're explaining it to Mom." Sophia giggled. "Deal." They both held the crown, and as they touched it, the sapphires flared brightly, one glowing blue, the other pink. Then, in a gentle shimmer of light, the crown split in two, forming matching golden bands that hovered above their heads before resting softly on them. Sophia gasped. "Wow, it worked." James looked around, slightly dizzy. "Whoa, I feel weird. Like lighter?" For a moment, a strange but wonderful feeling filled the air. Sophia could sense something new, a faint echo of James's thoughts. She could feel his mix of pride, frustration, and confusion. "James," she said softly, "you're upset because you think you're being forgotten." He blinked. "How did you?" She smiled. "I can feel it. I think the crown is helping us understand each other." James's jaw dropped. "Wait, so you can read my mind?" "Not exactly. It's more like I can feel what you feel." But just as she said that, a strange jolt passed between them, a spark of mismatched magic. James suddenly felt a rush of cheerfulness that wasn't his, while Sophia felt a surge of impatience. "Whoa," Sophia said, stepping back. "That's new." James grinned mischievously. "You're feeling what it's like to be me, huh? Full of energy and ready for action." Sophia crossed her arms. "And you're feeling what it's like to be me, calm and thoughtful." But the crown's glow flickered again, and suddenly their mood swapped completely. Sophia frowned impatiently. "Why are we just standing here? Let's do something." James blinked. You mean like study?" "Study? No. Let's race around the courtyard." Clover groaned from the window ledge. "Oh no, this can't be good." Within minutes, chaos broke loose. Sophia was climbing the fence, laughing wildly, while James was trying to organize the garden tools in perfect order. Bailiwick nearly dropped his tray when he saw the two royal siblings acting completely out of character. Finally, Sophia stopped, panting. "Okay, maybe the crown needs a little adjustment." James, now overly calm, nodded, Perhaps Cedric's craftsmanship requires recalibration. They looked at each other, and then both burst into laughter. Sofia grinned. Well, at least it's doing something. But as they laughed, the crown bands glowed again, faintly out of sync. Instead of merging their feelings, the magic was beginning to split them further apart, creating a strange imbalance neither of them noticed. And high above in his tower, Cedric watched through his crystal orb, muttering to Wormwood, "Oh, dear, I might have inverted the enchantment polarity. Well, I'm sure it'll sort itself out, probably." The sapphire lights pulsed twice, one pink, one blue. And for a moment, the air between Sofia and James shimmered like a ripple in a pond. Something in their bond had changed, and though they were smiling now, the real test of sibling harmony was only just beginning. Dizzy, the sun dipped low behind the towers of Enchancia Castle, painting the sky in shades of rose and gold. The quiet hum of the evening seemed peaceful, but deep below, under the royal garden, something ancient stirred. Sofia and James stood side by side in the Hall of Symbols, the room glowing faintly from the energy of their crowns. Their reflections shimmered in the marble floor. "This is where it's leading us," Sofia said softly, watching as the gems on their crowns pulsed in rhythm with the castle walls. "The crowns are calling to something underground." James nodded, gripping his sword. "Then that's where we're going." Clover sighed dramatically from Sofia's shoulder. "Every time you two say something like that, I know it's going to involve secret doors and mysterious staircases." Sofia smiled faintly, and as if on cue, a symbol etched into floor began to glow. The design resembled two interlocking crowns, one pink, one blue, forming a heart at the center. The ground rumbled and a circular section of the floor lowered, revealing a spiral staircase bathed in soft light. Sofia and James exchanged a quick look, the kind that needed no words. Together, they descended. Gemstone, the hidden chamber. At the bottom, they stepped into a vast underground hall. The walls shimmered with crystalline veins, and a large stone pedestal stood in the center, cradling a glowing orb, the heart of harmony. It pulsed like a living heartbeat, radiating waves of gentle magic that filled the air with warmth. James whispered, "It's beautiful." Sofia approached carefully. This must be what the crowns were meant to protect. But before she could touch it, a gust of cold air swept through the room. The light flickered, and out of the shadows emerged the faint figure of Queen Ilaria. Only this time, she looked different. Her once kind eyes were filled with sorrow, her form shimmering between light and darkness. "Sofia, James, you've done what few could. You awaken the crowns," she said, her voice echoing softly. "But in doing so, you also awaken me." Sofia stepped forward. "Ilaria, we don't want to hurt you. We just want to understand." Ilaria smiled sadly. "I was once guardian of the heart, but when greed and pride grew in my kingdom, I tried to seal its power. It consumed me instead. The crowns were my failsafe. They were meant to find heirs with purer hearts, to finish what I could not." James frowned. "So the heart isn't evil. It's just too powerful." "Exactly," Ilaria said. "It reflects what's within. If harmony rules your heart, it brings peace. But if doubt or division takes hold, the orb pulsed dark for a moment, its glow trembling." Sofia looked down, realization dawning. "That's why the shadows attacked us. They were echoes of imbalance, our own fears." Ilaria nodded. "To truly restore balance, you must merge your crowns, unite courage and compassion into one." Clover blinked. Merge? Like kaboom merge or safe merge?" Neither sibling answered. They knew what to do. Sofia reached out to James, their hands clasping tightly. Their crowns began to glow brighter, blue and pink lights twisting together into a dazzling gold. The heart of harmony responded, rising into the air. The ground trembled, and radiant light filled the chamber. Ilaria's voice echoed, warm and distant. "Dizzy, remember, true harmony is not the absence of fear, but the strength to face it with love." Dizzy. The orb split into two streams of golden light that swirled around Sofia and James, entering their crowns. A brilliant explosion of color filled the room, then silence. Sunrise and new dawn for Enchancia. When the light faded, the siblings stood alone. The chamber was calm again, the orb now resting peacefully on the pedestal, glowing steadily with soft white light. Illyria's figure appeared one last time, her form fading gently. You have done what I could not. The heart is safe, and so is Enchancia. Sophia smiled, tears glimmering in her eyes. Thank you, Queen Illyria. Illyria nodded softly. No, child, thank you, both of you. Her spirit dissolved into golden sparkles that floated upward, disappearing into the ceiling. For a long moment, there was silence, only the quiet hum of magic around them. James finally broke it. So, we just saved the kingdom again, huh? Sophia giggled, brushing a tear away. I guess we did. Clover stretched. Well, if no one minds, I'm officially declaring it bedtime for brave bunnies. They all laughed, the kind of laugh that comes when danger fades and peace returns. As they climbed the staircase back to the castle, the crowns on their heads shimmered, no longer pink or blue, but golden, symbolizing unity. Outside, dawn broke across Enchancia. The first rays of sunlight spilled over the garden, touching the rose bush that once hid the heart's energy. A single new flower bloomed there, golden at its core, pink and blue at its petals. Sophia turned to James, her voice soft. You know, maybe harmony isn't just magic. Maybe it's what happens when we believe in each other. James smiled. Then I guess we'll always have it. And as they walked together toward the castle, the sky blazed with morning light. A new beginning for Enchancia and for the royal brother and sister who had proven that true magic lies not in crowns, but in the bond of family. Glowing star the end. Glowing star. The magical pulse slowly faded, leaving the room glowing with a gentle blue hue. Sophia and James stood in the center of Cedric's tower, breathing heavily, surrounded by floating sparkles that slowly settled back into still air. For a moment, it seemed calm again, until a strange humming sound began to echo from behind them. Sophia turned. James, you hear that? James nodded, eyes widening. Yeah, and it's coming from there. Behind the scattered spellbooks, a tall, silver-framed mirror shimmered against the wall. It wasn't Cedric's usual mirror. This one was ancient, ornate, and engraved with tiny runes that seemed to dance when the light touched them. The mirror began to glow brighter, and then dizzy heirs of Enchancia, bound by heart, face the truth and never part, dizzy. The mirror's voice was soft and musical, like the whisper of wind through crystal. Sophia gasped, It's talking! James took a step back. Okay, creepy talking mirror, that's new, even for this castle. The reflection inside the mirror began to shimmer and change, showing moving images, memories. They saw themselves as children playing in the garden. Sophia, newly adopted into the royal family, tripped and fell into the fountain. James had laughed, but then immediately helped her out, handing her his handkerchief. Sophia smiled softly. That was the first time you ever called me your sister. James chuckled. Yeah, and you said I wasn't a very proper prince for laughing. The mirror shifted again, showing moments both sweet and painful. They saw Sophia's first royal ball, where James had felt ignored. Her coronation at the royal prep graduation, where he'd stood in the crowd, proud yet slightly apart. Then came flashes of their arguments, the teasing, the rivalry, and the occasional unspoken envy. Sophia's voice trembled. It's showing us everything we felt, even the things we didn't say. James looked down. I didn't know you saw all that. I didn't, Sophia whispered. But maybe the crown did. The mirror flared once more, projecting an image of the Royal Harmony crown, glowing, pulsing, as if it was alive. Dizzy, to break the bond of imbalance, you must remember why you were joined, the mirror intoned. Seek the root of your hearts, the moment you became true family. James frowned. What does that even mean? Sophia looked thoughtful. Maybe it's telling us to find the memory that truly united us, the one that made us brother and sister not by title, but by heart. Suddenly, the mirror rippled again, and before they could react, it pulled them inside. Everything around them blurred into streaks of blue and silver. They landed with soft thud on a glowing floor that seemed made of light itself. They were no longer in Cedric's tower. They were inside the mirror's world. The sky above shimmered with memories, like floating bubbles, each showing different scenes from their past. Laughter, fights, birthdays, holidays. Every emotion glimmered around them. Sofia whispered, "It's beautiful, but how do we know which memory is the right one?" James looked at the nearest glowing bubble, which showed him giving Sofia her first royal kite. "Maybe we just have to feel it." As he reached toward it, the bubble popped softly, and they were instantly pulled into the scene. They found themselves standing in the castle courtyard years ago, watching their younger selves play. Little Sofia struggled to hold the kite string as the wind picked up, while young James shouted advice from nearby. "Hold it tighter," little James yelled. "I'm trying," little Sofia giggled, the kite swooping wildly. Then, as the string tangled and snapped, little Sofia looked crushed. But young James picked up the kite, fixed it, and handed it back with a grin. "Don't give up, sis. Princes don't quit, and neither do princesses." The scene froze there, the mirror world around them pulsing warmly. Adult Sofia smiled through tears. "That was it. That was the first time you called me your sis and really meant it." James nodded softly. "Yeah, I guess that's when I stopped seeing you as the new princess and started seeing you as family." The light around them grew brighter, wrapping them in a warm, golden glow. The mirror's voice echoed again. "Now that the bond is remembered, it may be balanced, but only if the hearts remain true." Suddenly, the world began to shake. The glowing bubbles started to crack, one by one. Sofia gasped, "What's happening?" James grabbed her hand. "The mirror is closing. It's sending us back." They were lifted into the air as the light swirled around them, brighter and faster until it exploded in a burst of magic. When they opened their eyes again, they were back in Cedric's tower, lying on the floor surrounded by fallen scrolls. The crowns on their heads now gleamed softly, perfectly in sync, balanced at last. Sofia smiled in relief. "We did it!" James grinned. Guess teamwork really does make the magic work. But before they could celebrate, Wormwood let out a sharp call from the windowsill. "Oh," the raven squawked. "You might want to look outside." They turned toward the window and gasped. A glowing trail of magic was spreading across the castle courtyard, twisting like vines of light, leading straight toward the royal garden. Sofia exchanged a look with James. "Looks like this story's not over yet." James smirked. "Good thing we're in together." And with that, the two siblings rushed out of the tower, ready to face whatever enchantment awaited them next, side by side, as true brother and sister. Sofia and James raced to the castle corridors, their footsteps echoing off the marble floors as they followed the shimmering trail of magic. The glow wound its way through the grand hallway, past the throne room, and finally out into the royal garden, where the light seemed to pool like a river of stars. The moment they stepped outside, a cool breeze swept past them, carrying a faint scent of blooming jasmine and something else, something ancient and otherworldly. Sofia gasped. "The garden, it's glowing." And indeed it was. The once familiar garden now shimmered with enchantment. Every flower, vine, and tree sparkled faintly as though dipped in moonlight, and in the center stood a large crystal rose bush, pulsating softly with blue and pink light, the same colors as their crowns. James blinked. "Okay, that's new." Before Sofia could answer, the crowns began to hum again, resonating with the rose bush's glow. The air thickened with magic until, whumph, a circle of light rose from the ground around them. A voice drifted through the air, soft but firm, ancient and full of grace. "Dizzy, heirs of Enchancia, your hearts have remembered. Now, can you truly understand, Dizzy?" Sofia and James looked around, startled. "Who's there?" Sofia asked. From the rose bush, a gentle shimmer formed into the figure of a woman, translucent and radiant, dressed in flowing robes of light. Her presence was peaceful yet powerful. "I am Ilaria, spirit of the royal harmony," she said. "The crowns you were forged by the first rulers of Enchancia to remind siblings of the strength of unity. But when hearts drift apart, the crown's balance falters." Sofia's eyes widened. "So this whole time, the crowns were meant to teach us to stay close?" Ilaria nodded. "Yes, princess. And now that you have rekindled your bond, the crowns have restored their light. But the enchantment has awakened something else, a mirror of your hearts. Before they could ask what she meant, the ground began to shimmer again. Two glowing forms rose from the light, reflections of Sofia and James. They looked just like them. Same faces, same crowns, but their eyes glowed faintly and their smiles were off. James took a step back. Sofia? Why are there two of us? The spirit's voice echoed. These are your echo selves, magical reflections born from your heart's imbalance. They hold the emotions you buried, doubt, pride, jealousy, fear. Sofia stared at her echo, who smirked confidently. So, you're the perfect princess everyone loves, the reflection said, her tone sharp but eerily calm. Do you ever wonder if people like you because of who you are, or because you're always trying to be perfect? Sofia's breath caught. I don't. Her echo tilted her head. Even good hearts can have hidden doubts, Sofia. Meanwhile, James' reflection stepped forward, eyes gleaming. And you, always chasing adventure, always joking around. But deep down, you just want to prove you're good enough, don't you? The fun prince who's never taken seriously. James clenched his fists. You don't know anything about me. The echo chuckled. I am you. Sofia reached for her brother's hand. James, don't listen. But the echo cells raised their hands, and tendrils of glowing light shot toward them. The siblings were forced back as the energy formed a shimmering barrier around the garden. The crystal roses pulsed faster, and suddenly the garden split into two sections. One bathed in pink light around Sofia, the other in blue around James. Ilaria's voice echoed faintly. To restore balance, you must each face your reflection. Only by accepting them will the crown's power be whole. Sofia swallowed hard, looking around her glowing half of the garden. Her echo stood by a pool of crystal-clear water, smiling faintly. You can't hide from me, Sofia. You act brave for everyone else. But what about when you're scared? You push it down, don't you? You pretend it's not there. Sofia took a deep breath, her crown glowing gently. Maybe I do get scared. Maybe I doubt myself sometimes. But being brave doesn't mean never being afraid. It means doing what's right even when you are. The reflection paused, her glow flickering slightly. Meanwhile, in the other half of the garden, James faces Echo, who paced confidently. Everyone expects Sofia to save the day, it sneered. You're just a silly brother. The second act. Doesn't that bother you? James frowned. It used to, but Sofia's my sister. I'm proud of her. And maybe I'm not perfect, but I don't have to be like her to matter. I just have to be me. His reflection hesitated, then nodded slightly before dissolving into sparkles of blue light. Sofia's echo smiled faintly and whispered, Then maybe you're ready. With that, she too faded into pink sparkles. The two lights swirled together, meeting at the center of the garden where they formed a brilliant burst of color. Ilaria reappeared, her voice warm. You have faced your heart's truth. The crowns now shine with unity and balance, the harmony of love, courage, and understanding. The rose bush glowed one last time, then gently shed its crystal petals, which floated upward and vanished into the air. Sofia smiled, feeling light and peaceful. Thank you, Ilaria. James grinned. That was intense, but kind of awesome. The spirit bowed. Remember, royal siblings, magic begins with the heart. And with that, she faded away, leaving the garden peaceful once again. Sofia turned to James, laughing softly. You know, I think we just passed the hardest royal test ever. James smirked. Yeah, let's hope the next one doesn't involve fighting magical versions of ourselves. They both laughed, walking back toward the castle under the golden sunset, their crowns glowing gently in harmony. But as they disappeared through the archway, a faint glimmer of blue light flickered near the rosebush roots, unnoticed, pulsing slowly like a heartbeat. Something wasn't quite finished yet. The next morning, Enchancia awoke to a golden sunrise, birds singing, the scent of dew in the air, and a gentle calm that seemed to embrace the entire kingdom. Everything appeared normal, almost too normal. Sofia and James met in the royal courtyard for breakfast. Clover hopped onto the table, already nibbling on a blueberry muffin. Morning, princess, Clover said with his mouth full. You two look surprisingly, not magically exhausted for once. James grinned. Yeah, we actually slept like normal royals for a change. Sophia laughed softly, sipping her tea. After everything with the crowns, the mirror, and those echoes, I think we've earned some peace. But just as she spoke, a faint rumble shook the table. The teacups rattled, and Clover jumped. What was that? He yelped. James stood, scanning the garden through the tall arched window. It sounded like it came from outside. Sophia's eyes narrowed. The rose bush. They rushed to the royal garden, where sunlight sparkled on every petal, except one spot. In the center, where the crystal rose bush had been, now lay a patch of dark soil, faintly pulsing with blue light. James knelt beside it. Didn't this whole area turn back to normal after Laria disappeared? Sophia nodded. It did. But look, something's still glowing underneath. The ground trembled again. A deep crack opened in the soil, and a thin stream of light shot upward, swirling into a small floating orb. It flickered violently, dark at its core, blue and pink at its edges. Clover gasped. Okay, that does not look friendly. Before they could react, the orb split into two, one blue, one pink, and from them emerged tiny shadowy figures that looked like distorted versions of the echo cells they had faced before. Sophia stepped back, her eyes wide. No! They were supposed to be gone. James clenched his fists. Guess they left a little something behind. The shadows began whispering. Soft at first, then louder, their voices a chilling blend of mockery and sadness. Dizzy, you face your fears, but you never face your doubts. Dizzy, you claim balance, but balance must be guarded. The air around them grew cold, and the crowns on their heads began to flicker, their once harmonious glow now trembling unevenly. Sophia felt a wave of uncertainty rush through her. James, do you feel that? He nodded grimly. Yeah, like the crowns are reacting again. Clover hopped nervously from foot to foot. Okay, I'm just saying, maybe it's time to call Cedric? Before Sophia could agree, the shadows lunged. Blue energy struck James, sending him tumbling back. Pink light wrapped around Sophia, trapping her in midair. James! She cried, struggling against the shimmering bonds. He scrambled to his feet, pulling his wooden practice sword from his belt. Hey! Let her go. He swung through the air, cutting through the blue shadow, but simply reformed behind him, whispering coldly. Dizzy, you fight, but you still fear being weak. James froze. The shadow's words echoed deep in his chest, the truth behind them stinging. Meanwhile, Sophia's captor circled her like a storm of pink light. Dizzy, you shine for others, but what happens when the light fades? Sophia's breath hitched. That's not true. I don't need to be perfect. But even as she spoke, doubt flickered through her. Her crown dimmed slightly, and the shadow's grip tightened. Then she heard James' voice, faint but strong. Sophia, don't listen to it. Remember what we learned. The crowns react to our hearts. Her eyes widened. He was right. The crowns fed on emotion, but they could also channel it. Closing her eyes, Sophia took a deep breath. I'm not perfect, and that's okay. What matters is love, courage, and kindness. Her crown glowed brightly, releasing a pulse of golden light that shattered the pink shadow. On the other side of the garden, James grinned through gritted teeth. My turn. He steadied his breathing, lifting his sword again. I don't have to be the best. I just have to be brave. His crown flared blue, his confidence surging as he swung through the air once more. The blue shadow screamed softly before dissolving into sparks. The garden fell silent. The cracked soil sealed itself, and the crowns glowed once more, brighter than ever before. Sophia exhaled, brushing dust from her dress. That was intense. James nodded, sheathing his sword. You think that was the last of them? Before anyone could answer, a faint laugh drifted through the air, soft, distant, and oddly familiar. Dizzy, the crowns are not finished with you yet, heirs of Enchancia. Dizzy. Sophia spun around. Who said that? The light shimmered again, and for a split second, they saw a faint outline of Ilaria's face in the breeze. But this time, her expression was different. Colder, almost sorrowful. Then, she was gone. James frowned. Okay, That was definitely not how she looked before. Sophia looked down at her crown, the gem now pulsing faintly. Something's wrong. I think the magic we restored might have awakened something else. Something older? Clover gulped. Older? As in ancient magic older? Sophia nodded slowly, her face serious. Yes, and whatever it is, it's still connected to us. The wind rustled through the trees as the siblings exchanged a determined look. James smirked, though his eyes showed worry. Guess our peaceful morning's officially over. Sophia managed a small smile. Then we do what we always do. Face it together. As the camera panned up toward the bright morning sky, the crowns on their heads flickered once, and deep beneath the garden, unseen by anyone, the faint outline of a hidden crystal chamber glowed to life. The true heart of the Crown of Harmony had begun to awaken. The sun dipped low behind the towers of Enchancia Castle, painting the sky in shades of rose and gold. The quiet hum of the evening seemed peaceful, but deep below, under the royal garden, something ancient stirred. Sofia and James stood side by side in the Hall of Symbols, the room glowing faintly from the energy of their crowns. Their reflections shimmered in the marble floor. "This is where it's leading us," Sophia said softly, watching as the gems on their crowns pulsed in rhythm with the castle walls. "The crowns are calling to something underground." James nodded, gripping his sword. "Then that's where we're going." Clover sighed dramatically from Sophia's shoulder. "Every time you two say something like that, I know it's going to involve secret doors and mysterious staircases." Sophia smiled faintly, and as if on cue, a symbol etched into the floor began to glow. The design resembled two interlocking crowns, one pink, one blue, forming a heart at the center. The ground rumbled, and a circular section of the floor lowered, revealing a spiral staircase bathed in soft light. Sophia and James exchanged a quick look, the kind that needed no words. Together, they descended, gemstone the hidden chamber. At the bottom, they stepped into a vast underground hall. The walls shimmered with crystalline veins, and a large stone pedestal stood in the center, cradling a glowing orb, the Heart of Harmony. It pulsed like a living heartbeat, radiating waves of gentle magic that filled the air with warmth. James whispered, "It's beautiful." Sophia approached carefully. This must be what the crowns were meant to protect. But before she could touch it, a gust of cold air swept through the room. The light flickered, and out of the shadows emerged a faint figure of Queen Ilaria. Only this time, she looked different. Her once kind eyes were filled with sorrow, her form shimmering between light and darkness. "Sophia, James, you've done what few could. You awakened the crowns," she said, her voice echoing softly. "But in doing so, you also awakened me." Sophia stepped forward. "Ilaria, we don't want to hurt you. We just want to understand." Ilaria smiled sadly. "I was once guardian of the heart, but when greed and pride grew in my kingdom, I tried to seal its power. It consumed me instead. The crowns were my failsafe. They were meant to find heirs with purer hearts, to finish what I could not." James frowned. "So the heart isn't evil. It's just too powerful." "Exactly," Ilaria said. "It reflects what's within. If harmony rules your heart, it brings peace. But if doubt or division takes hold..." The orb pulsed dark for a moment, its glow trembling. Sophia looked down, realization dawning. That's why the shadows attacked us. They were echoes of imbalance, our own fears. Ilaria nodded. "To truly restore balance, you must merge your crowns, unite courage and compassion into one." Clover blinked. "A merge? Like kaboom merge or safe merge?" Neither sibling answered. They knew what to do. Sophia reached out to James, their hands clasping tightly. Their crowns began to glow brighter, blue and pink lights twisting together into a dazzling gold. The Heart of Harmony responded, rising into the air. The ground trembled, and radiant light filled the chamber. Ilaria's voice echoed, warm and distant. "Dizzy, remember, true harmony is not the absence of fear, but the strength to face it with love." Dizzy. The orb split into two streams of golden light that swirled around Sophia and James, entering their crowns. A brilliant explosion of color filled the room, then silence. Sunrise and new dawn for Enchancia. When the light faded, The sibling stood alone. The chamber was calm again, the orb now resting peacefully on the pedestal, glowing steadily with soft white light. Illyria's figure appeared one last time, her form fading gently. You have done what I could not. The heart is safe, and so is Enchancia. Sofia smiled, tears glimmering in her eyes. Thank you, Queen Illyria. Illyria nodded softly. No, child, thank you, both of you. Her spirit dissolved into golden sparkles that floated upward, disappearing into the ceiling. For a long moment, there was silence, only the quiet hum of magic around them. James finally broke it. So, we just saved the kingdom again, huh? Sofia giggled, brushing a tear away. I guess we did. Clover stretched. Well, if no one minds, I'm officially declaring it bedtime for brave bunnies. They all laughed, the kind of laugh that comes when danger fades and peace returns. As they climbed the staircase back to the castle, the crowns on their heads shimmered, no longer pink or blue, but golden, symbolizing unity. Outside, dawn broke across Enchancia. The first rays of sunlight spilled over the garden, touching the rose bush that once had the heart's energy. A single new flower bloomed there, golden at its core, pink and blue at its petals. Sofia turned to James, her voice soft. You know, maybe harmony isn't just magic. Maybe it's what happens when we believe in each other. James smiled. Then I guess we'll always have it. And as they walked together toward the castle, the sky blazed with morning light. A new beginning for Enchancia, and for the royal brother and sister who had proven that true magic lies not in crowns, but in the bond of family. Glowing star the end. Glowing star.